My name is Ben Smith, and today we'll be talking about an article that deals with napping and your ability to remember. So the title of the article was The Impact of Napping and Memory on Memory for Future Relevant Stimuli, a prioritization among multiple salience cues done by Benian, Kingsinger, and Payne. This was performed at Boston College on people ages 18 to 27, and they were mainly testing your ability to remember after you sleep, as well as if your brain prioritizes certain information to remember better because of their future relevance. So the procedure dealt with 74 participants. They were divided into 3 different groups, a nap group, a wake group, and a nap and wake group. At the beginning, they were all encoded in 2 different blocks. The first block was an incidental block, showed 90 images, 30 positive, 30 negative, and 30 neutral, and they were not told if they had to remember these images later or not. The second block, they were told that they had to remember. And then to talk about the positive images, they were shown positive images such as the image like this, the cash cab. Who doesn't like the cash cab? It's free money, right? But then there's negative images like the car crash. And then there would be neutral images that still dealt with taxi cabs, and that's just a normal taxi cab. Then there'd be other categories like food that they show positive, negative, and neutral things. And they also had an unrewarded versus a rewarded category where pictures with a green cross would be rewarded with your entry into and drawing for a $100 gift card. And then there would be pictures with a black cross where if you didn't remember it, then it wasn't a big deal. You didn't get entered into the drawing, but you still technically had to remember it. So then after that, depending on their group, they were told to either stay awake and do just basic desk activities for 2 hours, or they went to sleep for 2 hours, or they went to sleep for 2 hours and then were awake for 2 hours. So the third group was actually had 4 hours between each test. Then they were reevaluated, where they were shown 180 of the original images mixed with 180 new images. And when this happened, you had to tell if the image was new or if it was part of the original ones that you saw. So this was testing your brain's ability to recall what images you saw earlier after sleeping or staying awake. And the results showed that the nap and wake group had better results overall than the group that stayed awake the whole time. And the actual graphs reflect this a little better. So you can see the nap and wake group here were marginally better than the wake group. And this is the same case in every single category. So here they also tested the intentional versus the incidental. So we talked about how at the beginning of the block where they didn't know they had to be tested, they weren't told that. And then they were told they had to remember the next group. So the number of images they got right from the second 90 was much higher than the first 90 because they were told they had to remember it. And the same thing was for the rewarded. They got rewarded for certain images, and that also showed a marginal difference as well. And then the positive and negative images, those were actually remembered more than the neutral images because they were more relevant. They stuck with people more. So those kind of tests show that your brain prioritized the images more because they were future relevant. It was more important for those images to be remembered rather than the other images that were not rewarded or you didn't know you had to remember them. Along with that is the brain prioritized what was remembered. So the conclusion was that I kind of already talked about the intentional ones were recorded more in the brain, while the unintentional ones were not as remembered. They didn't know they had to remember them. The emotional ones were remembered better than the others, and the rewarded images were remembered better than the unrewarded images. And they also used this experiment to show that your brain actually remembers, or your memory is actually enhanced by your sleep. So as far as the journal goes, the article goes, I definitely believe that the sample size was overall good. There was adequate background information for everything that was talked about. Their procedure was sound. It was good. They had very good results that reflected accurate claims. Their claims definitely aligned with their information, which was easy to interpret information. The graphs were pretty easy to read, and they accounted for as much diversity among people as they could. However, they did have limitations where different people have different abilities to remember, and different people are able to perform on these tests different than other people. So it's kind of hard to standardize depending on which group you are in. However, they did a good job of making that an average number and comparing it to a lot of the others. There also were some limitations because different people were tested at different times, which could affect your brain's ability. Some people wake up better than other people, so some people are more morning people and night people. So after the nap, they might not have been able to remember it, or the brain might have not have been done processing. But besides that, the experiment was pretty good. So people should go nap because it helps you remember things. Thank you.